want to talk about an interesting social issue that was faced with recently. Um, One of my cousins he graduated from Alim school from an IFTA program in South Africa, so he's a full-fledged mufti, so congrats to him. But I want to talk about the differences and the discrepancy and the generation gap I see between the older ulamas and then the newer ulamas. I think the older ulamas obviously they're taught they're taught religion, they're taught deen in a context where everything is about faith and is about creed. I think what they fail to realize that there's a lot of social issues that plague the communities within any realm that are also very personal. For instance, people don't follow religion because they understand that there are some things that don't go well in their lives on a personal level, and it has nothing to do with what creed says or what faith says. Also, they, there's a discrepancy between understanding the fact that something is black and white, but then there's no other circumstances beyond that, and that's why the older ulamas will never understand, or it's harder for them to understand the young generation. Um, I guess that's a huge discrepancy because creed and faith and taqwa and fiqh are all important aspects in learning religion as an educational understanding, but what the newer ulamas have to understand is social issues like abortion, same-sex marriage, gay marriages, um, dating, alcoholism, domestic violence. These issues don't get addressed in the Islamic communities, and as a result, you have the young generation that doesn't follow Islam because there's no answers to that. You have to understand that religion should answer to those questions, and it does to a certain extent, but the knowledge base is not there to be embedded or to be implemented on that, right? There's a lot of personal issues that people go through on everyday basis that the ulamas cannot answer, while because things are don't get fixed by praying, 14 praying sunnat and fajr. I mean, it's important, don't get me wrong. I think prayer is important, supplication is important, but they don't fix. They're not tangible solutions. You need tangible solutions to fix if a person is going through domestic violence. There's so many domestic violence issues that are plague the Islamic communities of fathers abusing their daughters or them being abused with other older gentlemen. It never gets answered because of the fact that these are social issues and people think, oh, it's a social issue, whatever, we'll see in the day of the judgment. And that's a horrible, horrible mitigation. That's a horrible way to rectify problems. The reason that people are not that conformed to religion is because it fails to answer them on a personal level. And that's not the religion's fault per se. It's the way that we are taught education. It's the way that Hafiz al-Quran and Alimuddin are taught education. And the older ulamas, I applaud them. I applaud them for how they got their education, but they're blindsided. They don't have a holistic understanding of what goes on. They're in a bubble, right? This most ulamas, they stay inside the madrasa environment. They don't understand how finances work. Most of them don't. I'm not saying all, but most of them don't. They go and they ask donations. Well, no one is going to pay you $5 million for building a masjid or for building a madrasa because people have their own families to support. Okay, if you earn $75,000 after tax, that income is like 48,000. Alims don't know that, or they're heavily reliant on their fathers, or they're heavily reliant on other people who take responsibility for them, and it's okay to a certain extent, but that doesn't fix issues. Now let me talk about the younger ulamas. I think the younger ulamas had less sacrifices to do, but I think they're more multidimensional. My request for younger ulamas is to understand these social issues because some of them still don't understand that these issues are prevalent in our society. That when you're an imam or when you're an alimuddin, you have to be more than an hafiz al-Quran. You have to understand what's going around you. You have to understand economics, finance, and you know what that requires? That requires a lot of education, and you better learn that. Your 8 years of ifta is applaudable, but it's not enough. I'm sorry. I am still studying. I've been studying since 17. I have I have a lot of certifications, but it's not enough for me in my technological quest to become the best that I can be. And let's not even go to my religion aspect because you know what? I'm just stupid at that. Except for one degree, I don't have anything else. And that's because I don't portray myself as a pious person. But I understand the social issues that are around me. I understand why people have a past, or why people retaliate, or why there's such a big gap between young and older Muslims. It's because their personal issues that never get addressed. For alims to come close to that, they need to address that and rectify that at a personal level and at a social level, and not just at a religious level. And then things can be a little bit better for the younger generation. Let me know.